Did you know that for this movie, Miguel Mora played Ramon Ariano in the first movie, and in the second movie he plays Ernesto, his brother. The Black Phone 2, sequel to The Black Phone that came out in 2021. I really enjoyed the first movie a lot. If you want to see what my thoughts were on the movie, I'll leave a link in the description for it. Also above my head you'll see a link as well. I honestly didn't think this movie needed a sequel. The first movie was solid enough by itself, but that's just the way Hollywood is nowadays. No matter how good the first movie is, 95% of the time there's going to be a sequel to it. And when I saw the trailers, I was actually kind of interested in it. It intrigued me, and I went into this movie with reasonable expectations, and I actually enjoyed this movie. There's some minor things I didn't like, but I'll save those for the end of the review. First thing I liked is the storyline, and we get some more background on some events and characters and some history. The storyline is 4 years later, and Finney is doing his best to continue to live his life, you know, considering what happened to him, and Gwen's gifts are growing and feels like she's going crazier. But then we get to the part where they go to the Alpine church camp where their mother went. We get some nice just backstory to that, some fill in the gaps, because the first movie established some stuff. Well, other things not really. It was just kind of there, not really fleshed out. But this movie actually does a pretty good job of fleshing out the stuff that I want to know more about the mom, about where the grabber was first active, some stuff on him, the mother's gifts, and her death. I did like how it was a little more personal. We get to see how tied into the family the grabber actually is, based on some pretty shocking revelations that we see in this movie having to do with Gwen and Finney's mom. The fact that she possibly knew who the grabber was made that storyline a little more immersive. The tone of it was very dark. It actually leans more into more of the scarier side of things, more of the unknown side of things. Yes, we do get the grabber showing up in a Freddy Krueger style. That was actually one of my biggest concerns. Is I've seen enough of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Like, I got my fill of Freddy. I don't need to have a modern movie copy what's already been done. But I will say I actually was happy with how this Freddy Krueger style was done. It was, you know, what I would expect. You know, nothing new there, but they do add a lot more grotesque scenes. It's way more violent. They definitely don't shy away from the blood and gore in this one. Lots of jump scares. There were at least 3 or 4 jump scares that I counted. There weren't barely any jump scares in the first one, but that's not what kind of movie the first movie was. But then we get to just see just like the dark dreams that Gwen is having, her perspective she gets to see. That was one of the strongest parts of the movie, honestly, was the dream perspective. But every time she had a dream, it was like it was shown in a different way, from a different person's angle. You know, a little bit of Inception stuff in there, but at the same time, it's just like the mysteriousness of dreams, what you can do to dreams, how you can control them. Like, that in itself is mysterious enough, is immersive enough, and they really played around with it a lot. I loved just all the dreamscape things that were done in this movie to just keep you interested in kind of what this movie was trying to convey to the audiences. And then I did like some of the character developments and the redemption we get to see for a couple characters. Really the biggest one I was really happy to see was the dad turned his life around. He's going to be getting his 3-year sober chip, but also like some redemption like from Finney as well. Like, he really feels like he could have done more. Also Gwen, she thought she could have done more to save people, but at the end they all got some redemption. They all got some good developments, much needed developments for sure, for Finney most importantly, but as well as Gwen. They were both going through some crazy stuff, and they needed some good things to start happening, but they also need to face their fear. They need to accept some things, go at it at times to really just be therapeutic with all of it and get everything off of their chest, because the more they hold on to it, the more it was affecting their lives and their dreams and their future and their relationships with each other and with others. I would say the only thing I didn't like, I felt like this movie was kind of boring at certain points. I felt like it slowed down a little bit. I can't name like specific moments in the movie, but it was whenever they were at camp, there were some times where really nothing was happening. They're just sitting around talking, dialogue, nothing crazy, nothing was developing. So it did feel a little slow for a while before we started picking up again. First movie, there was never a moment in that movie where I was bored, where I felt like, oh, I'm falling asleep, like I need to get reinvested in this movie. The first movie did a phenomenal job of keeping you interested the whole time. This movie I felt was lacking kind of that driving pace. It was a very different kind of pace that kind of shifted the story a little bit, shifted the tone a little bit, and of course that obviously you could tell it affected the way it was written, the way it was going to be coming off to viewers, and how engaging it was. But with all that being said, I still think The Black Phone 2 was a good sequel. We might get a third installment, maybe a prequel, we'll see. See how this movie does in the box office, but if you loved The Black Phone, I highly encourage you go see The Black Phone 2 as soon as you possibly can. So for The Black Phone 2, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 Mudflaps, and remember to leave me a thumbs up and drop the comments below. Would you want to see a Grabber prequel? Yes or no? See you soon.